Live from a post-Titanfall world, you're listening to Techies Talking Tech Tonight. I'm your host, Trey Comstock. With me this week is the full team, including gaming editor Stephen Doss.
Kung Pao, bitches.
And executive editor Jimmy Principe.
That's right, beard in your face.
Oh!
Beard in your face.
As someone who has the testosterone of a prepubescent girl, I appreciate your beard.
I'm not saying I don't appreciate a good beard. I'm just
You know how to
saying
beard?
it needs to be
Genghis
trimmed.
Khan.
He did.
He conquered the world.
With his facial hair.
So this is Techies Talking Tech Tonight, and formerly known as T4, our kind of more free form, free swearing, free-wheeling, free cursing technology and gaming, vaguely related.
There's not a structure?
There's
We
no.
really say whatever we goddamn well please.
Yeah, that's kind of what this show is. It's off the rails. It's fundamentally
Trey hates
broken.
Belgian people.
I lived in Belgium.
This show has rails.
This show never had rails to begin with. So, Steven, what's new with you?
Okay, well, as you know, we are getting into the beginnings of AAA title Release-a-Palooza. We just had the remake of Thief.
Yeah, Thief.
Which totally destroyed everything I liked about Thief and the Thief game.
So it sucked.
Yes, it's not fun. I played the demo.
So so talk me. I'm not a Thief aficionado.
Okay,
but I did like Dishonored, which was basically the best Thief game. So what was wrong with this Thief game?
Well, okay.
So actually, the same people that did Dishonored did a Thief game.
Little backstory:
Okay.
Thief was a lovely little game. It was a little stealth game made by Eidos, the people who made
Lots of things.
Lots of things. And it was all about. It was a tongue-in-cheek game. Not so much like Leisure Suit Larry and all that crap.
That's not tongue-in-cheek. That's just bad writing.
Okay, bad writing, but it was a really great game. You had a protagonist who was a thief, and his motivation wasn't I was wronged. I was wronged. I was framed for a crime I didn't commit, and I have to clear my name. No,
That was Dishonored.
he was a thief because he was good at it, and he had to pay his rent. That was the ultimate plot of the game. Was
Fantastic.
You need to pay your mortgage. Oh, by the way, you're good at being a thief.
That's how I play Assassin's Creed, though. I just steal money from all of the people, and then
Exactly.
when they try to fight me, I kill them.
See, I never do that. I never pickpocket anybody. in
You never
Assassin's Creed.
pickpocket anyone?
Just walk through crowds
You-
and pickpocket
yeah.
people.
Yeah, but that
Even-
raises your notoriety.
Fight you, and then
One-
just do, like one good slug to the face, and then
Yeah.
they run.
Yeah, but that raises your notoriety.
And one of the
And kill all of the Janissaries.
one of the missions
It's so
in
hard.
Assassin's Creed 4, one of the optional objectives is pickpocket everyone that's around you.
I did do that.
There you go.
There was an achievement point for that.
Exactly. I got my bronze trophy. But yeah, so Thief was this really fun game. It was a fun game. And then, you're like, Thief 1, great game. Thief 2, great game. Thief 3 is okay. It's still a pretty good game. Thief 4,
Which is no longer
it's
Thief
not
4,
Thief
it's
4
now
anymore.
It's a reboot.
It's a reboot because they realized it has nothing to do with the thief.
Same
the guy.
character.
Yeah, save the guy.
Garrus, what's his name?
Garrett.
Garrus is Mass Effect.
Yes, Garrus is Mass Effect. Well,
Scrappy.
for starters, I believe this new Thief is a Square Enix release.
Sure.
So
Well, because Eidos still exists, don't they?
yeah, Eidos still exists. I don't know if they sold Thief to
talking, I'll research.
stuff, but oh yeah, he's gonna fact check a gaming podcast. You know who made it? Nintendo. Fucking Nintendo.
That was Bayonetta.
after they got done with the Sega Masters Tennis.
Square Enix made Thief.
Yes.
This version.
Yeah, this version. Square Enix made Thief. And it took everything fun out of it. The dark humor.
It was developed by Eidos Montreal, published by Square Enix.
Okay.
So it is...
It's still in Eidos Montreal, so
Everyone's right.
that's why everything's in French, I guess. It's not French.
French.
Cheese-eating surrender monkeys.
that made Assassin's Creed.
Oh, yeah, it's true. Assassin's Creed's pretty awesome. But this game is not awesome. It takes everything that's fun, and it tosses it out the window. And it also has... one of the things I hated about it, and one of the things that I think a lot of the reviewers hated about it, was it has points of no return. It has... Thief... The great thing about Thief is you can't get to a point where you're done. if you pass a certain ledge, you can still find a way to get back and go back and look at other stuff. It's a very like it makes you feel like a thief. You case out the joint first. You see where the lines are, and then you do the robbery so you can pay the bank. This thief, you go and you're like, okay,
Bastardization of thief,
this
maybe?
bastardization of thief. You're like, check out. Okay, I want to see what's beyond that ledge, because you assume you can go, and you're like, oh crap, I'm stuck. I shouldn't have went that way. I want to do other things back there. Nope, can't. Point of no return, and that's just horrible. And any game that is called Thief should never have a point of no return. I'm sorry. The point of being a thief is that a point of being Garrett the Thief is that you see all these other ways to do things, and you do it. And this way, it's like, nope. Much like Square Enix's, love of corridors, you've made a thief game.
They love corridors?
Yes. Have you played Final Fantasy Lightning Returns 2 Electric Boogaloo?
No, I haven't played that particular version of Final Fantasy, but
quite obscure.
Elaborate
for us.
Well, okay, Lightning Returns came out.
No, about their love of corridors, not about Final Fantasy. Blah, blah, blah.
No, but that's part of Final Fantasy. It's just corridor.
Like since Final Fantasy,
corridor.
Final Fantasy 10, there was corridors.
That's more. It goes back farther.
Yeah,
than
it goes
that.
back further than that. Final Fantasy 11, the one I'm Rash von Battenberg of Gilgerstan or whatever that part is.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of corridors. Like the first level is you're on a corridor.
To be fair, the most recent one you get to play Sexy Jesus.
That's true.
So there's that.
But you know what you're going to be doing as Sexy Jesus?
Call that positive.
Essentially fighting.
You're
in corridors.
fighting in corridors.
Sexy female Jesus, to be fair.
And then when Final Fantasy...
Who you can dress up in various outfits.
But Roman Jesus has a beard. I don't understand.
No, but this isn't... Okay, so she's not actually Jesus, but this one pulls heavily from Christian theology, such that she is basically Jesus.
Yes, and she has to...
Second baby Jesus.
Exactly, and as we all know from the Bible story, Jesus and lo, he came upon with corridors descending.
Well,
she
look,
came upon with corridors.
Wait, this could be. We have is the testimony of Luke for when Jesus was like 12, and then we don't have anything for
other podcast.
For 20 years.
No. This is the podcast that swears.
All right, I have a hard time keeping this straight.
So long story short, my beef with Thief.
Your
it
beef
rhymes.
with Thief.
It's a poet.
God, and now what? Show title. Great.
Thief with beef.
Thief with beef. That's what I want. I want a thief with beef, not a beef with thief.
Oh my!
Ooh la la.
Yes, my thief beef is that it's not fun anymore, and that's what I see there a lot of times they're doing with these games. Hell, if they make a remake of Smash TV, it's probably going to be like I was framed for
Smash
a crime.
TV was already basically corridors.
It was no. That's not the point.
You cannot complain about Smash TV.
Smash TV was fun corridors.
Yes, but you can't when they do come out with the inevitable remake, the HD remake of Smash TV, where they give it a plot, like they did with Strider. They gave Strider.
Yeah,
a
they
plot
gave Strider a plot. Strider's plot at the beginning was kill everyone with your sword.
Strider. For the video version,
I don't see a problem with this.
This is the Strider. You just stride forward.
Or do you remember Bionic Commando?
I do remember Bionic
when they made
Commando.
the HD remake, and it's like, but it's his wife. Spoiler alert: his arm is his wife.
Right, but the best part of
no wonder she doesn't give good hand jobs.
Oh, damn it. The best part of the re-release of Bionic Commando was you got to play original Bionic Commando before
true.
that. That was
That's
part
true.
of the pre-release cycle.
Or Other M.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Metroid Other M.
Anytime someone is making a remake now, it stinks. You
know
know what
if
it was?
that's
You know what it was
totally
a good remake?
What was a good remake?
Speaking of Smash TV,
Sure.
and it wasn't even a remake. It was but it was supremely influenced by Smash TV. Mad World.
Sure.
Mad World was a
was a good remake?
fucking great
What?
game.
What was a good remake?
Wind Waker.
Zelda Wind Waker
Zelda Wind
HD.
HD.
But that was okay. That wasn't so much a remake as they up-res the graphics. Like
Right.
that is just the best game of 2003. Were re-released in 2013 in this kind of great definitive edition. That's how I feel about Tomb Raider. But like, okay, so let's look at the new Tomb Raider that came out last year.
Tomb Raider, that's a good example too. I played that.
Yeah, Tomb Raider is a good example.
I mean, that remake that they just did. I mean, realize they're not rebooting it after as long a dead period as Thief had.
Yeah.
But that reboot was for real. They went with a whole different Lara that looked like she's still a beautiful woman, but she's beautiful in a different way.
Yeah, less anime, more like
human. With realistic hair physics, thanks to Tress effects. Anyway.
Ooh la la,
Tress effects. So, I mean, remakes can be done well. You look at Wind Waker, you look at Tomb Raider. For the most part, what's had a hard time being rebooted is arcade games.
Yeah.
Or games from 30 years ago. Games from 15 years ago, when we're already moved into polygonal graphics, those are easy remakes.
Yeah.
Because you up-res the graphics, you redo the plot, you make the plot a little less bombastic, a little more realistic, and you have a perfectly modern game there. What that doesn't work with is like there's even been some good remakes of Pac-Man. What was the most recent one that just took the world? Pac-Man DX. There was some they've re-upped Pac-Man some, keeping it an arcade game. But it gets weird when you take a thing and try to give it a plot where there was no plot.
Yeah.
Or give it a lot of plot where there was very little plot, like Mortal Kombat. Why does Mortal Kombat need a real plot?
It didn't have a plot ever.
There were movies, man. There was a plot.
The plot was kill the other guy.
Yeah, the plot was you were in a tournament, and you can either...
You were the one human in the tournament, and
you button mash.
You button mash, and in the end you got a thing. It's like...
No. Back, B, down, A. Right?
Jump. Kick.
No, forward A, forward A, down B. So that's get over here with Scorpion and then a uppercut.
Here's what I did with fighting games. I always played Killer Instinct, and I was always Spinal, down, B. He did a slide thing, boom, win every time.
My brother
over you, though.
My brother got way into Mortal Kombat when we first got the N64. And so he would do all the fatalities and all the babalities and all of these friendship, all these crazy things that he was downloading off the internet and doing. And I was like, I want to play.
That's called pornography.
There's also that. I was like, I want to play as Scorpion and Liu Kang. And I did. I lost every time.
How many? Okay. We're all about the same age, right?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Roughly an 8-year range.
How often did you print out the moves lists from the internet on your sweet 56K modem?
Sure.
And you got a stack of paper that's this thick for those.
I probably still have those in the upstairs of my house.
Oh, I remember having when I got for the N64 Mortal Kombat trilogy.
Yeah, that's what we had too.
All the move lists, and it was awesome.
That's what I mean. I think for some things I actually bought the Prima guidebook or whatever.
Yeah, I had a couple of the guidebooks.
I had that for Pokemon Blue or Red and Blue. A lot of times, Drew and I would get it and we'd share it. Roughly,
I'd get it where they'd give a family member would give me the game, and so they'd see it as a logical thing to also give me the guidebook.
Because the guy at EB Games or Funko Land was like, "Hey, you want the guide with that? They're really gonna need it."
Well, here's what I did. I remember one of the first games that I got as a Christmas present.
By the way,
oh, I know it's now
for my N64 was Ocarina of Time.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And I
one of the best games of all time.
Got the game for Christmas.
That's what's in my N64 right now.
Nice.
Yeah, that's one of the ones I gave to you, isn't it? Did I give you Ocarina, or you get yourself Ocarina?
I bought it while you were there, though.
And
yeah.
What I did was, I would get the game. My mom would be like, "Yeah, we got it for you for Christmas," and I would buy the guidebook myself so I could read it. And then when the game came around, I was like, "Bam!" I have everything
on lockdown.
On lockdown.
So speaking of on lockdown, so Jimmy, what's new with you?
Well, so I'm going to gripe about one thing first, and then I'll talk about my gaming, what's new with me.
Oh, hold on. You need to give an update on your phone. I realized the last episode, your phone was in flux.
Over yonder, but...
So your Nexus 5 did find its way home.
My Nexus 5 did find its way home. It came back into my loving embrace. It now has a crack on, the bottom left corner of the screen. But other than that, it made it back into my loving embrace.
Hallelujah.
Yay!
There can be miracles.
And there was much rejoicing.
I'm now using the Lumia 521.
Your face is a Lumia 521
player,
as it was always intended. Anyway, so you're gripe.
Discussed. So that was the first thing. The second thing is, so I ordered this Pebble Steel thing 2.5 months ago.
Pebble
is that a penis thing?
Blue Steel.
It has not shipped yet.
Hasn't shipped. What? It was supposed to ship in late February.
It was supposed to originally ship in mid-February.
Oh, it's now
Then they pushed it
mid-March.
to mid to late February. Then they pushed it to all orders are shipping to within 6 to 8 weeks.
Has any
before
okay?
which they were received.
Does it come with Witcher 3?
Which has also been delayed. My question is has anyone received them besides press?
I think that the problem is that I ordered the one that everyone wants, which is the black one, not the silver one.
Well, there you go.
Well, the silver. I thought the black one looked a lot better than the silver one.
The black one looks like the silver one doesn't look bad, but the black
No.
one looks a lot better.
Sure.
And so the black one is back ordered is the problem. Like from now until the end of time, it would seem. Pebble. Okay, dear Pebble. Open letter to Pebble. Please fix your distribution problem and your promising things and then not delivering them.
Sure.
Because you're breaking my heart.
And they did that with the original watch as well. The first Pebble smartwatch.
This is why I waited like 3 weeks to mention this, because like Pebble being late on a deadline is like not a new thing.
But they're now really late.
You make great stuff.
Yeah.
Stop sucking.
Yes.
Please. Because I've now seen a whole new crop of things announced today that we'll discuss on the other show, that I might buy instead of your watch that I've already pre-ordered, because you haven't shipped me my freaking watch yet. And I'd like to have that $250 back in my pocket. But anyway, so there's
it's just a watch?
No, it's a smartwatch.
That's ridiculous.
It's a smartwatch.
Oh, it's a smartwatch?
Yeah. So are you familiar with the Pebble smartwatch?
I'm not familiar. I've seen like the Samsung ones.
These are okay. So the Pebble smartwatch is a lot more intelligent than the Samsung one.
Okay.
Where the Samsung is trying to be like Inspector Gadget or James
Samsung
Bond.
is a phone on your thing. It's
This
like Dick
is
Tracy. Yeah.
This is an e-ink display rather than an LCD, so it has real battery life.
Okay.
And it shows a limited amount of stuff. So like very simple notifications or very simple tracking. It pairs to your phone, just like Bluetooth, but it's very simple and has a bunch of different watch faces that you can show.
Okay.
But it's
also waterproof.
It's also waterproof,
Nice.
unlike the Samsung thing. But it's e-ink rather than LCD, so it's not super thick.
Okay.
It's not super heavy, and it has real all-day battery life.
Okay, which is that because that's one of the things that when they were doing the whole like, oh, get a fucking smartwatch because they're awesome and all the ladies will love you. I was like, that's a phone on your wrist, okay?
No, this.
You'll look like an idiot.
You'll look
Exactly.
like a
Hold on one
douchebag.
second, ladies. Hey, what's going on?
No, Samsung had an ad that was quite literally exactly that, where like they were at a ski resort and like a guy was like impressing a woman with all the different things his smartwatch did. Like I don't even joke.
Do you know what? You know what a smartwatch didn't do? Make him good at sex. So
What it didn't do, it would creep me out what he managed to do with that watch. Like it's just
It's the top tier rule of if you have to explain why it is cool to a woman, it is not cool.
that's true.
right. I mean,
We should do a cool board on this show.
we have one.
is
We've
actually
never
one.
published it, but we do have a
invite you to the,
we do have a tech
call.
cool wall that we should
need
do.
to update it, by
We
the
need
way.
to we do. We have a tech cool wall. We're in on this thing.
We should bring it back for Techies Tech
Last year we,
Techarisilus.
Techies talking the show Steven can't pronounce. So, besides your gripes against Pebble, what else is new with you, Jimmy?
Have you been playing
Game
Thief?
came out this past week. You
What
might
game
have
would
heard
that
of
be?
it. It was a pretty small release. Titanfall.
Oh, that's that independent one, right?
Yeah.
Well,
small
it is an independent studio.
It had some, had some server things like all EA games ever.
What's that? EA has server problems? No.
So, I found out.
I'm just glad it's not always online. So wait,
wait,
what-
is it-
hold on one second. Yes, I'm being told that
okay.
EA sucks and it is
so-
always online.
So, a few weeks back, I may have mentioned that the Xbox One version of Titanfall
Azure Blue,
runs on Azure Cloud.
Azure Cloud, whatever.
As it-
fuck it is.
Trey talked about Azure.
Yes,
Yeah,
Trey.
Take a shot.
Yeah, so I talked about Azure.
Hold
So,
on, let me get the bottle out.
so I found out that the PC version of Titanfall also runs on Azure.
Holy shit balls!
Yeah.
Who knew?
Yeah. And it didn't quite hold up under the strain, though it's not nearly on the epic level of SimShitty.
No.
The kind of issues that you'd expect from, like, it is the first, week of a game coming out, and people are
That's all
bombarding
server.
the server, and all of a sudden the server.
Well,
needs
I
to-
wonder how much of that is a lack of foresight on Electronic Arts' part, with the fact it's like, hey, we're gonna have at least 2 million people playing this game because we're hyping it up, and we're EA. Every game we release is going to sell 2 million, and they're going to probably be at the GameStop within a week when no one can play it. And so
I don't know. Like, they knew this was going to be big.
Yeah.
They are anticipating, I think, that it's going to be bigger than it actually is, even. That this is like the savior of Xbox, and Xbox sales numbers are up against the PS4 in the past month.
Right.
So, I mean, I think this is having a tangible difference for the Xbox One. So they knew this was going to be big. They were hyping the crap out of this thing.
this was their thing.
This was not just their thing. This was Xbox One's thing. And so some things crashed. I don't think it was nearly on the scale of other problems we've had. This is certainly not like Battlefield 4, which as far as I'm concerned is probably still broken. This isn't fundamentally broken in terms of server architecture. It did struggle, but I don't think it struggled nearly as bad as we've seen previously.
But the problem comes with
Right,
the fact
no,
that it's
and-
EA, and EA's gonna has that thing. It's like they're a huge money grubbing corporation. They don't even want to spend money on their server so their games work because they're like, we got your $59.99. Fuck you. Here's the EA dick.
Well, but
Enjoy it in your mouth.
I still
Yes.
think
Yes.
that EA, like, yeah, they had server problems right when it was released, but most of them were fixed within the first day or two. I mean, I didn't really try to play, partially because I suspected there would be server problems.
And there
until
were.
Friday of last week, and I
Yeah.
played for about 4 or 5 hours on Friday.
And Sydney
And-
played some
Only
on
once did it kick me out.
Thursday. I was still out of town. So
Ooh, maybe I'll play Titanfall tonight while
she
we
played
record.
some on Wednesday and wasn't having server problems. I watched the Giant Bomb guys play like release day, and they were definitely having some server problems. But those seemed to be settled out by Wednesday, and I don't think we had here in the studio with our kind of crappy internet connection. I don't think we had a whole lot of server issues.
Yeah,
So
I have a blazing Comcast internet connection.
Hey! It's not Comcast. It's Xfinity.
it is Xfinity.
You shut your whore mouth.
I have a blazing Comcast company.
Which, since Comcast owns everything,
Everything.
now,
Like
they just
NBC.
bought NBC Universal right now.
Just
Oh no, they
Yeah,
didn't.
like-
They
They
just bought Time Warner. That's
Cable.
right.
Time Warner Cable.
Time Warner Cable.
Not to
So
be confused.
So anyways, I have a blazing fast internet connection, so that it wasn't a problem. On
Okay, so beyond server issues, which are now not an issue, tell me about the game. What do you think? We had some lingering questions about Titanfall. It feels like all we talk about on this show is friggin' Titanfall.
So
probably-
I'm going to put a moratorium on Titanfall talk for next week.
Sure.
Well, next week, Infamous Second Son will have been out, so
And I'll have played a lot more Metal Gear Solid, but we'll get to
that's
that.
going to be my kind of okay. So the one thing I learned about Titanfall is that it's really not my type of game.
That's what I keep
so-
hearing
I
across
have-
everyone
I
in
have
this
to say
team.
as a precursor to all of my comments, because I mean I enjoy first person shooters for what they are, which is mindless killing of random other people.
So you like murdering strangers?
But that's the only But
It's
that's
the
not
only
really
thing that
the
brings him
game
joy.
that I go in for. I'm way more into the story based games, like the BioShock Infinites.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, I think
honey,
I think as a staff, we skew towards narrative-driven
games with plots.
If you look at our games of the year, they are mostly narrative-driven. The
Yeah.
things we even consider we are a big fan of narrative. That's kind of, if you want to talk about, there are no objective reviews, and kind of our bias is towards narrative-driven games. And this is, so tell me about the narrative aspects.
non-existent.
Because there is a narrative. Yes?
Radio play.
It's a radio play. Tell me more about this radio play.
So I didn't actually get to play. By get to play, I didn't really have a desire to play the campaign after reading about the campaign. My understanding of the campaign from the other coverage that I've seen is that the campaign is just you play every single map that is in the game on both sides.
Yep.
With the radio play going on in the background.
Yeah, that's
Wait, what the?
video screens will pop up
Yeah.
in the corner with some dude
I-
talking to you.
Wait, what the fuck?
So Sydney's played a bunch of this, and I've seen a bunch of. Obviously,
Okay,
it's a
so-
first-person shooter, so I didn't play it, but I've seen a bunch of this. happen. And so basically what it is you play either a multiplayer attrition, which is their kind of team deathmatch, or you play a multiplayer hardpoint, which is where you have to like control 3 different points on the map. You play 9 of those as each side. So you play a total of 18 of these matches.
Okay.
And while you're doing these matches, little video screens will pop up in the corner of your screen as like characters in a narrative talking to you and narrative things happening while you're just playing a normal multiplayer match.
However,
essentially.
So Trey,
what
what
twist
happens if you happen to lose said battle?
Okay, so the world is not affected if you lose the battle, because it's real people on both sides. So always real player characters will lose and real player characters will win. And so it just, the dialogue you get changes. So like, say you're like trying to capture a fuel depot, spoiler alert, you're trying to capture like a fuel depot or whatever, and you fail to control the hard points, and so you don't get the fuel depot. And so there'll be this dialogue that's just like, oh, we always manage somehow, and then you just move on to the next mission as if nothing changed.
That's just so disappointing. Like, you know, I look at the Mass Effects of the world and the those types of games, and that's what I want.
Yeah, but okay, but I don't think this is that's a fair comparison. Right?
No, it's not at all.
No.
So what they're trying to do is integrate single player and multiplayer,
which you can't do. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. I don't think you can do that.
I disagree with that.
I think you're all stupid whores.
I think
Warcraft.
No. Well, World of Warcraft has no. Okay, sure. Yeah, there you do. You run dungeons and stuff, and so yes, that is one way to do it. Destiny is the other thing we should start looking at, which is a shooter that is more like an MMO, right? So Titanfall and Destiny both are trying to do this new thing, that new on this scale anyways, where it's a first-person shooter that has a story that is always multiplayer, okay? And Titanfall failed at that, because it's basically just multiplayer maps with a radio play. So it's like when I'm driving to work and I'm listening to an audiobook. It's basically like that, okay? And so that is really disappointing. And I think, this sounds like the mechanics are solid. It's a good shooter. These people know how to make shooters. They do a great job with it. It's arguable if you get enough content for $60.
If you're going to make a multiplayer shooter, just say it's a multiplayer shooter. Don't try to tack on, like, plots or anything.
Well, this definitely feels tacked on. It definitely feels like what they ran out of time on was any kind of story-based mode.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. They don't want this idea of a single player, that this, next-gen thing is always connected to other players.
But I think the problem with that is that it never will. There's going to be some times where you want to play a game, and you don't want, a 12-year-old calling you the N-word.
A racist 12-year-old.
Yeah.
As I have been known to call them recently, masturbating 12-year-olds.
Yeah. Masturbating 12-year-olds, yeah.
You have to add in racist in there. It's very important.
Masturbating racist.
And misogynist.
Misogynistic, racist,
but yeah,
12-year-olds.
I think that's one of the good things about, like, going to go back to my favorite game of last year, Assassin's Creed 4, is that there's a great multiplayer.
Yeah, it was Assassin's Creed somehow manages to make what is in reality a tacked on multiplayer not feel totally tacked on.
It's you can tell you can assume it's tacked on because
it's somewhat an afterthought.
But it's somewhat of an afterthought. But it's great multiplayer. It's fun.
I've played some.
But when I don't want to be online killing the racist masturbatory 12-year-olds, I can play a game, and I can get immersed in that story and that world, and even though it's like, oh, I don't want to finish the plot, I can take my boat elsewhere. Same thing with my favorite game of all time is Okami.
Sure,
love Okami. I actually paid money for it.
Unlike everything else.
Unlike hey. I only do that with Abandonware, actually.
At least you're a thief with rules.
Abandonware. Oh, exactly. I'm Garrett. Okay.
Yeah, you're a thief.
I have to pay my rent.
You're making a much more interesting point.
Anywho, like, Okami is, if I wanted to play a game, I played like Okami, and I would paint my dragons and all that stuff, and it was awesome, and it was fun. And I think a lot of times people are like, oh no, everyone wants to be multiplayer, and that's just a load of horse shit.
Well, okay.
There's always gonna.
I think saying that everyone wants to be
there are two ways to look. Okay, there are two ways to look at this.
My way and the wrong way.
No, in why multiplayer? No, why so much multiplayer is what I mean.
That is what I want to know. Why so much multiplayer?
There are two ways to look at it. One, there is data available that basically says there are plenty of people that never play the single player on Call of Duty. And all they play is the multiplayer. Now, we happen to represent the group that goes the opposite way. That will play the single player and hardly ever touch the multiplayer on anything we do.
Because we're not 13-year-old boys.
No, because we do represent the minority of gamers in that, and also we have to and choose to jump between so many different games.
Yeah.
In order to really get into a multiplayer game, that needs to kind of be all you do, or you're just always going to suck. I mean, that's Sydney's problem with Titanfall is she just keeps getting killed because she hasn't played a multiplayer shooter in a very long time. And if you haven't played a multiplayer shooter in a long time,
you're not going to be good at multiplayer.
It's almost not fun even to play Titanfall because the skill set just kind of transfers so much.
And realistically, the only part of game mode of Titanfall that I enjoyed was the Last Titan Standing, because everyone is trying to
right. And funny, that's the game mode we enjoyed the most on the beta. So there's two arguments for this. One is it's just what most people do, and we just don't represent most people. The other argument is the slightly more insidious argument. How do you prevent reselling a game, people from reselling your game?
Oh, yes.
You make it a multiplayer game. It extends the life of that product and makes people less likely to, I finished a single-player campaign, and now I'm going to get rid of it. And that's why you see so many tacked-on multiplayers. Because it starts to expand what the game is for basically just adding in some netcode. So, I can understand the argument where just a lot of gamers, what they really want is multiplayer. And especially in the shooter space, fundamentally, that's what drives the shooter space forward.
To be fair,
we're a minority.
Kind of multiplayer.
Because clearly people who are playing shooters online aren't having sex, so they might as well just do something with their Friday night.
No, but it could have been a lot of your average douche bro in your average college dorm. We played a ton of Halo in my college dorm.
Yeah, exactly.
We did have LAN parties at Halo, but then we got girlfriends,
I
and so we.
Halo 3 with my roommate.
God, that just make me God. So what systems were out when you were in college?
Xbox 360.
See, Xbox 360 launched my freshman year.
Look, I am not that.
Oh, honey.
And so.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
And Xbox was out when you were in college, Steven.
Yeah. To that, the gaming system I brought with me to college was my Nintendo GameCube.
I bought a Dreamcast. I did. I bought a Dreamcast.
I'm surprised you didn't bring an NES.
I love the Dreamcast.
No. My college girlfriend, she had a Super Nintendo in her room, and we would play that.
Oh yeah, that's legit. Playing the Super Nintendo. Oh yeah.
And now, my wife actually, she has a.
Huh? What's new with me?
She plays Donkey Kong.
I can't. So Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes came out today.
Metal what?
I've played like 10 minutes of it, so I can't really. That I think I'll talk about more next week. I beat for all y'all interested in keeping score at home. I did beat Pokemon X. Good game.
So what you're saying is you caught them all?
I've played 17 hours of Pokemon Blue.
Jimmy, I played 45 hours of Pokemon X.
I have never gotten into cockfighting for kids.
Dude, I've played like 5 of them now. I've beaten 5 of them.
Games. There's just something about
I've never, played them on virtualgbx.com.
Okay.
I played Pokemon, the first one, whatever it's called, Pokemon.
It was Red and Blue.
Red or
Red
Blue
and Blue
or whatever.
were the first ones.
And I was like, it doesn't appeal to me.
I had a Game Boy Advance emulator on my college laptop that unfortunately I did not copy off before I killed it. But I had Pokemon Red, Blue, Yellow, and one other one for it. And I played the hell out of those games because you could turn it up to like 12 times speed.
Yeah.
So
it's basically the same software they use for Twitch Plays Pokemon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All the annoyingness of I need to wander through this grass patch for 5 minutes to find a Pikachu.
Pikachu.
Yeah.
So I did beat that, and actually that did more interesting narrative things than I'd ever seen a Pokemon game do. And I've played a bunch of them. There's this whole like post-game content where you play as a detective, and like they went heavy on the story, and it was really cool. And I finished that game, and I was kind of wistful to be leaving that world.
Pokemon Noir.
It is very much Pokemon Noir, where you play, as the assistant to this hard-boiled detective. I thought the visuals, the art style in that game was head and shoulders above other Pokemon games. Like, I really enjoyed my time with Pokemon X. I'm glad it's out of my life because there's only so much a grown man can sit there and level up his Pikachu.
Hold on, guys, I gotta get my Pikachu
on his 3DS. But I really enjoyed my time with it. Now I'm playing through. I've got Metal Gear Solid 5 going on the Xbox One. I'll have more to talk about that next week. And then I'm doing a South Park Stick of Truth on the Xbox 360. That
game looks hilarious.
That game is awesome. Now, caveat. That game is only awesome if you like South Park.
Yes.
There is no way that game appeals to people who don't like South Park. Because it is, in jokes, very well done, wrapped in a very easy RPG.
Yeah, it looks like a South Park episode.
No, it looks exactly like a South Park episode.
Sounds awesome.
It is awesome.
And it's directed by, like, Matt Stone and Trey Parker. Like, this is for real.
This is their game.
This is their game. They're heavily involved in it. They voiced all of it. Like, it is really good. But I also have an emotional, nostalgic attachment to South Park. Especially from when I was in high school, and it was like a big deal. I think the world... Like, okay, so my favorite episode of South Park is the World of Warcraft episode. Make Love, Not Warcraft. And in the drawer, in Stan's dad's drawer, I found the flash drive containing the Sword of a Thousand Truths.
Oh!
Like, it said, 1 gigabyte flash drive containing Sword of a Thousand Truths. Like, it's that kind of stuff, where it's just litter throughout the game, and all of it's in-jokes, and the RPG, like, is alright. Like, it's not a super deep game. It's not going to take more than 10 or 12 hours to beat it, as opposed to, like, a normal RPG where it's, like, I sink 40 to 80 hours into them. I like turn-based...
Full boyfriend yet?
Like, had to full boyfriend.
My favorite thing...
Play all of the had to full boyfriends.
My favorite thing about South Park Stick of Truth is just the opening cinematic.
Yeah.
Is completely, totally a Ralph Blaschke
knockoff.
It's hilarious.
Or like the opening.
Google this.
So you just like in every
get on the YouTubes. Yes.
Just like in every RPG, you enter your name of your character, right? And that's the name they're going to call you. Okay, so you enter in your character. I picked Izzard, and so I entered Izzard, and then Cartman says, "So you want to be called douchebag?" And you click no, and it says, "Okay, douchebag," and then it's like, "Greetings, Sir Douchebag," and you're just, no matter what you enter in there, you are just Sir Douchebag throughout the entire, and you like gain levels and you gain ranks, so you become Commander Douchebag or whatever, but your character name, no matter what you pick, is Douchebag, and you make sense, that means they can call you by name. And it just becomes this, they like riff on RPG conventions, and like Kenny plays a chick, and it's really funny, but again, there's not enough game there for you to not be a fan of South Park and like it. This is a great fan service, like amazing fan service. An amazing licensed game, as long as you like that license.
A licensed game that's good.
Which can happen. Like
Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man 2, great game. I'm hard-pressed to think of Superman 64, worst game in history.
E.T., second
worst game in history.
Anything by fucking LGN for the NES.
No, look,
I had Terminator 2.
Batman Arkham City is also an amazing licensed game. There have been great licensed games, and this is one of them.
Aren't terrible.
Some of them. Rogue Squadron. The Rogue Squadron games.
Rogue Squadron was great. Shadows of the Empire.
X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. Yeah. There have been great Star Wars games. There have been great Batman games. There have been a couple great Spider-Man games. There have been no great Superman games that I can think of. But this is the best South Park game there's ever been. This is absolutely a tribute. It actually fits into the plot of the series. It's great, but you have to like South Park to like this game. Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm going to say about it. If you like South Park, buy it. It's not a hard game. Just set it on normal or easy and like coast through, and you will laugh. and you will enjoy it, and you will feel immersed in that South Park world that you've always thought a game could be about South Park. It is definitely that. If you don't like South Park, if you're offended by an abortion clinic minigame, then this is just not your game.
Probably watching the wrong show.
You're probably watching the wrong show, and you're probably...
I like South Park, but I think it should be a little more PC.
Right, I mean, like,
no.
Al Gore is a character.
You can watch this show, if that's your opinion. But if you hate South Park, you really shouldn't watch it.
Right, and you really shouldn't play that game. So that's kind of, what's new with me. I was dealing with very little internet last week, and so I realized the value of owning content that you don't have to stream. So I buy...
So Trey, tell me about owning content and how you think it's ridiculous, because you've made fun of me before for my desire to own content.
I have made fun of you for your desire to own physical media.
Well, that's fair.
I buy most of my TV through iTunes for this very reason, that when I'm in an internet-limited environment, see, discs are too hard to carry. I want things I can carry with me.
I carried my entire DVD library to South Korea.
With you?
I did. I brought my iPad Mini and my MacBook Air.
Okay, and how did the Retina Mini perform?
It performed amazing. It's wonderful for watching movies on planes. It has the battery life you need. I only had to charge it a couple times during the trip. For those kind of applications, I find myself using the iPad more than I ever thought I would. So like when I am video editing and I need to look through my shooting script, I just have that loaded on my iPad. Now I could just tab over to a window, but this way I can look at my edit pane and look down at the sheet. It replaces a lot of... It's how, when I'm writing a sermon, it's how I read the Bible, is I have it on my iPad. Like, it replaces a lot of things that I didn't think it would replace. I find myself using it a lot and carrying it with me a lot of the time.
What I liked just now was you went from abortion clinic minigame to, when I'm writing my sermon, this is how I read the Bible.
It is. I mean, it's yes, I am both tech journalist and
form factor is a good size and is a good form factor.
8 inches is a pretty good size.
It always has been a really useful size for me.
I always found that I can do quite a bit with 8 inches.
No, but to be honest, like I've had both sides. Dick jokes aside, like I've had both sides of iPad, and I use this size of iPad a lot more than I ever used the 10-inch because it is so much lighter, so much lighter.
Is there some ease of carrying that?
It is. It's a lot easier. Just
it's not the size of the tool, but it's how you use it.
It's the usefulness versus size.
Does it fit nicely when you have it in your hand?
It has a really good hand feel.
Okay, good.
It's really
Johnny Ive for that one.
It just feels amazing in the hand. When you touch it, it's just magical. I've never had another iPad that was quite like this one. My Johnny Ive's better than a lot of my other.
Unabashedly plastic.
No, this one's not unabashedly plastic.
That is still my favorite Johnny Ive quote.
It's unabashedly plastic. So he spent like a whole generation of devices talking about how plastic is bad, and then they make a plastic phone, and this one's unabashedly plastic. So yeah, Johnny Ive. I find that I'm using it a lot more than I ever thought I would. And part of it is that form factor. It is the best iPad on the market. I get that, like, oh, you can do real things on a 10-inch iPad. No, you can't. Shenanigans. If I have to
Surface Pro.
Buy a Surface Pro or buy a Surface 2 if you want to do real things on a tablet. But if you want a tablet as a consumption device, buy an iPad mini with Retina and you'll never look back. Yeah, it's expensive, but I really love that device. And I didn't think I would fall in love with it. I have been burned by iPads. I wouldn't spend my own money on it. Now, looking back on it, I think I would have actually spent my own money on it.
Because I'm playing with the idea of an 8-inch Windows 8 tablet.
As like a journalistic operation, I would prefer you get the Windows thing so we can compare it.
However,
were it my money, I'd buy an iPad. I'm just going to buy an iPad.
But I mean, okay, so if we look at it, the one that I realistically would buy is the Lenovo ThinkPad 8.3 inch thing. What is that thing? Lenovo.
Look, dude. I can't keep their naming conventions straight. But yeah, they're 8-inch Windows, the actual full Windows.
The one that is targeted at business people because I don't like buying consumer crap.
Well, yeah, most consumer grade laptops that are not
Those
Macintoshes
things
are just
relate.
awful.
Consumer and crap they both start with C for a reason.
Unless it's Apple, you're absolutely right. I think you would actually be able to get work done on that device for two reasons. One,
You can get a dock for it.
you can hook it into any number of things. Two, it's going to run full Office, which the iPad doesn't. And that was one of my big gripes against the original iPad, and still one of my big gripes is it doesn't run full
There
Office.
is a rumor that there will be an announcement next week for Office on the iPad.
Yeah, okay, because we're ramping up for
Whoopty,
a
who
build.
gives a shit?
Well, no, me.
That's actually important.
That's actually
For both
really
Microsoft
important.
And Apple.
Right. Now, but that hasn't been the case for the past umpteen
Yeah.
years, and it's one of the things that drove me from the original iPad in the first place, when I was trying to edit papers on it, and the formatting got changed by Pages, and in academia, that matters.
Yes, it does.
Like, it sounds like, oh, that's nothing. No, it matters. When, like, your page limits are hard, or when you have a hard page limit, or when you have to deal with footnotes, like, that's a big deal.
Like, formatting sometimes just gets stupid looking when you go between different word.
And
Yeah, it
also,
does.
like, Excel. I want real Excel. I don't want fake Excel.
Awesome.
I
Excel
need
is pretty
real
decent.
Excel. And that would, again, change how I look at the iPad. But right now, look, you're not actually going to use GarageBand. No real media person is going to use GarageBand on the iPad because you don't have the hard drive space.
No.
Like, if I was going to do my video editing on an iPad, how would I do that? I'm dealing with a 400 gigabyte project right now. Like, no. Don't even joke. Like, I'm sorry, that is a toy. That is not a tool for real things.
Right.
It's also not a real camcorder. Okay? It's just not.
But Trey, it has the
No.
It has,
No.
it has the same camera on the back of it as the iPhone 4S, I believe.
That's
Sure. That's great. But that is not that's great if like you want to film your grandkids because that's the thing you have in the room. Like, and I don't downplay, like, that is an important use for a camera. But this
Bless
is
you,
not,
Jimmy.
But this is not a professional media device.
I don't
the
know.
only
Okay, iPad photographers still get and videographers still get me.
Well, and like that Apple ad where he's standing on the edge of this waterfall, Iguazu, which I've also taken photos at with his iPad. I'm like, dude, you're
Use
just
your iPad for that?
No, I
That's
used
quite impressive, Trey.
I used my EOS 7D and used every inch of its waterproofing.
Are you implying that the iPad would not vibe so well with the
No,
wireless?
no, it wouldn't. Look, it's a toy. It's a toy for, if you want to just play around with things. But if you want to do real media, get a Mac or get a PC and actually do work. I get so pissed off at
So
how they-
Trey, I have a question for you. Do you use the 8-inch or the 10-inch in your wet things?
I use my 7D when things get a little wet and wild. I reserve the
He likes to use the 62 millimeter.
no, it's the 28 to 135.
Yes.
I use the 135 millimeter mostly when things really get wild.
Telescoping.
Oh my god.
That telescoping, with just a little twist, I can get out to a full 135 millimeter.
See, this is why I do games. No one can make fun of, like, there's no dick jokes about games.
There are no dick
they
jokes
don't
about
really
games. Have you met Duke Nukem?
That's true. Games are always meant to be treated seriously. They are works of arts, and I would,
Except for Duke Nukem.
except for Duke Nukem. Duke
Oh,
Nukem.
and a laundry list of other games.
Yes.
Before we go down this rabbit hole, it's probably time for us to get the hell out
What
of
are you
here.
buying?
So if you have any feedback for this podcast, just don't bother. But it is podcast@techslesscall.com, facebook.com/techslesscall, pinterest.com/techslesscall, or at techslesscall on the Twitter. We'll be back next week. Good night.
That's a fine choice, stranger.